Hi everyone, welcome on back to my channel. My name is Iris and today I wanted to talk about maintaining locks. I am currently on my lock journey and I am 17 months locked, almost about to be 18 months to be exact. But I wanted to come and speak about maintaining locks because I'm finding that as I'm progressing throughout my lock journey that my hair is definitely changing, and I'm also considering maybe changing the method in which I maintain my locks. There are two methods commonly used to maintain locks. One is palm rolling and the other is interlocking. For me right now, I am palm rolling my locks because, to be honest with you, I find it to be the easiest method to maintain my locks at this current moment in time. And palm rolling is just basically rolling your lock in between the palms of your hands to maintain the new growth at the root. So what happens is it twists the new growth at the root into what's like, I would say, like a cylinder shape, and it maintains that for probably about 3 to 8 weeks is when you're usually recommended to keep maintaining your locks with palm rolling, whether you get it professionally done or you do it at home yourself. But I also feel like it's probably up to you if you want to keep that range of weeks in between, because some people twist their hair, within that 3 to 8 weeks, and then some people retwist their hair with palm rolling further out, maybe even 3 months or more. So I feel like it definitely depends on the person. Definitely depends on your hair texture, if your hair is able to even deal with something like that, whether you do it as frequently or non-frequently as you would like. This method is usually used for traditional locks, and if you're trying to semi-freeform, you may also use the palm roll method. When you're palm rolling, you're basically manipulating the hairs at the root back into the shaft of the lock. And the hair is basically going to do the work itself by maintaining that twist. It's going to constantly bring those hairs back into that cylinder shape every time you maintain your hair by palm rolling. The next method that's usually used to maintain locks is called interlocking. And interlocking is where you pull the end of your lock through the new growth at the root to maintain your locks using a 4-point or a 3-point technique. Now, you usually have to use this technique until the lock is tightened at the root. And it creates more of a intertwining formation, unlike the palm rolling where it creates that cylinder shape. With interlocking, you're basically creating a braid-like look to it, which is what it gives off, because it's doing that intertwining or that weaving motion when you're using the point technique. This technique also is probably better if your hair is very fine and soft and you're having trouble locking it. Usually interlocking is a better method to use rather than the palm rolling. Usually this method is used most likely for sister locks or micro locks, and that's not to say that you definitely can't use this if you have traditional locks. Of course you can, but more than likely it's more maintained with those types of locks. So let's go into some of the pros and the cons of each of these methods. So I've already spoken about the pro that I love the most about palm rolling. That is, it's easy. It's just you rolling your lock in between your palms and twisting the hair, and that is it. There's nothing to really think about, to really calculate. It's just that one motion and you're done. And So it seems to be less time consuming. Now, I will admit, I didn't always think that, especially at the beginning of my lock journey as a newly locked person. I thought that palm rolling took forever and a day to do. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because of course it was new to me. It was a new method to me maintaining my hair. I have never done that before. So it took a long time for me. It probably took me about 2 hours to palm roll my hair in the beginning. But currently on my journey, I'm finding I am getting swifter and faster with palm rolling because the hair is now maturing and getting much easier to do. The other pro about palm rolling is the shape that it maintains. And that's because the palm rolling method gives your lock room to expand and to swell up basically. So let's talk about some of the cons with palm rolling. So manipulation in general with your hair and too much of it can cause it to definitely break or thin. So if you're a person that's probably retwisting once a week, it's probably not a good idea to do that because it could lead to thinning of your locks or breakage of your locks at the root or even within the shaft of your lock, because over manipulation is too much tension on your hair and could cause it to break or thin. So you definitely want to stretch out the maintenance of palm rolling your locks to about the 3 to 8 weeks, which is recommended, just so you keep the integrity of your hair. Now, there are some people who don't listen to that and their hair is just fine, but this definitely depends on your hair texture and the state of your hair, I would say, if you can get away with that. But over manipulation with using palm rolling can be detrimental to your locks if you're not careful. Also, another con is unraveling. So with palm rolling, you definitely can't be getting your hair wet. Like I said, lifestyle, if you're somebody who swims or you're somebody that likes to go to the gym to work out, you're going to create that moisture with sweat or, being in contact with water will definitely cause your retwist to unravel with palm rolling. So if you're somebody that needs to wash your hair on a regular basis, which that was me before I decided to lock my hair, I was a weekly washer. So when I decided to lock my hair, I had to make the decision that maybe I need to cut back on the washing and decided to go to every 2 weeks. And that was only to try to maintain my retwist, but to be honest with you, I don't really think it makes a difference at this point if I'm a weekly washer or not, because either way with palm rolling, you're not going to be able to keep that neat look because the twist can easily just unroll itself. The next con I would say that has to do with palm rolling, I would say has to do with hair texture. I am someone whose hair grows away from their locks. So my hair doesn't stay within that shaft of the lock every month. It just doesn't. My hair decides to do its own thing. So with palm rolling, it's not really keeping it into place like it should be, which I don't really mind, to be honest, at this point in my journey. Who knows, that may change. But I've come to accept the fact that it's just the way it is. You're manipulating your hair into a motion that it doesn't necessarily want to be in. And so the unraveling and the growing away from my locks, I just come to accept that that is what it is for my hair texture. And within picking either one of these methods, that's something you definitely have to consider because that may be a con to you. Another con with palm rolling is that it may not be maintained for a long period of time, like I said before with the unraveling. But in order to combat that, you may need to keep your hair styled more often. If you keep your hair in styles with palm rolling, you're more likely to keep that retwist looking as neat as possible. It's not going to look like the fresh retwist you had in the beginning. But when you style your hair with palm rolling, it's more likely that the hair will stay into place better than if you just leave your hair loose and try to maintain your hair in that regard. So let's talk about some of the pros with interlocking. So interlocking is longer maintenance in between. So you're not having to run to the salon or maintain your locks at home every 3 to 8 weeks. With interlocking, that time is now stretched to about 8 to 10 weeks. So that's a highly pro, and why I know most people love to interlock more than palm rolling their locks, because you're not having to deal with the maintenance so often. Another pro to interlocking is that you're able to get your hair wet. You're able to work out if that's what you do. You're able to swim. You're able to shampoo as often as you would like, because like I said, that interweaving or intertwining all the way to the root is locking that hair into place, and it is not budging until you grow out some more new growth for you to now interlock. Another pro with interlocking is that your hair looks neat much longer than it would if you were palm rolling. So it kind of gives you that crispy, I want to call it, that crispy or scalpy look for much longer when you are interlocking your locks. So if that's something you love or is interested in, you probably should stick with the interlocking method. Another pro to interlocking your hair is that you don't need any products. Now, this is again to each his own. That is not necessarily true for palm rolling, because there's some people that don't use any products and just use water only to palm roll their locks, which is perfectly fine. Whatever works for you. But definitely with interlocking, you don't need any products at all. So you can maintain your locks just as is. So let's talk about some of the cons with interlocking. One of the cons is if you do this method incorrectly, you are putting yourself up for the verge of breakage or thinning or even holes in your locks. So like I said, there's a system here. It's the point system. It's either the 3-point or I believe the 4-point system. And that system goes on the gauge of like the face of a clock, or better yet, some people think of it as like a compass, north, south, east, west. So that point system that you're using, if you do it the wrong way by keep bringing your lock in and weaving it in the same direction, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to keep going into the different sections. If it's done incorrectly, what happens is you create what's called like a Y shape within your lock, which leaves like that little loop or a little hole within it. And if you're constantly weaving and intertwining your hair on top of that incorrectly, it can definitely cause damage to your locks. So that's why most likely it's thought of to, if you're going to interlock your hair, it's probably best to go to a professional to get it done, more likely than you doing it yourself. Another con with interlocking is that you have to use a locking tool. Now that's not necessarily true. You of course could do this without a locking tool, but most people actually use a locking tool to help them maintain the interlocking technique. With anything, too much of something can definitely be detrimental to your hair. So too much of interlocking up until the point where your roots are too tight and there's too much tension on the root of your hair can definitely cause you to have a form of alopecia if you're not careful. So like I said, it may be best for you to get it professionally done if you can't keep up with that type of maintenance, Or if you are doing it at home, you just want to be careful and make sure you're following the right protocol. Of course, you want to stick to the recommended time period in between when you should be interlocking, which is about the 8 to 10 weeks. Like I said, I would definitely say personal preference trumps all with both of these methods. Definitely your lifestyle and your hair density and texture. Either way, whatever you decide to do, I say definitely do your research and definitely do whatever method or both methods if that works for your lock journey. So that is pretty much it for the methods of maintaining your locks on your lock journey. I hope you all enjoyed this video and I thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye guys.